To continue on, so we will start the module 5. Yeah, the module 5 is the last module in the training for the young pro DRR. Module 5 will talk about the effective DRR science communication for museum and other institution. We're really lucky that we have the curator from the museum here with us in the on site. And then for Dr. Muzailin, he already went a lot of museum there in Japan. So he also will share how the exhibition being brought out to the community in Japan, and then how is it in Aceh. Then some of the important aspect on science communications related to DRR with the exhibition that being shown on the museum will be discussed today. So I'm pretty much sure that Dr. Muzailin will start with the group discussions. Then also to relate those discussions with the effective science communication as well as the marginalized group. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Muzailin to present. Please, Dr. Muzailin.
Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to noon. Okay. Morning to noon. Okay. I think today is the last day, right? Last day, but I hope that all of us here still very enthusiastic to share it other, to learn it other, and to build network. I think the last message from Ibu Okta, what is important after some conference, some lecture, and so, is the network. To build the network amongst the participants and the instructor or the professor, so that we can reach our goal together, right? Okay. Mm. Sorry, so first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Muzailin Afan. I'm the lecturer at Universitas Syiah Kuala. I graduated from Tohoku University, also majoring in the applied disaster science. So here today, I think because it's the last day, all of you already learn, yeah, discuss about the theory about what everything's about disaster communication or the DRR. But today, I think we want to share with you and let each other how we can effectively uh, send the message, yeah, from the museum to the people based on the experience that maybe I learned, and here also you learn from your side, especially those who work inside the museum. I think today we have the participant from Aceh Tsunami Museum. Yeah. How many of you? Four. Three, yeah. Intan, Latifa. Okay. So, and also from the Zoom online, maybe some of you also very much related to the museums or some organizations working or related to the museum. So, as already informed by Mr. Haekal, today, before we discuss our module, the last module, I think this very interesting. Today, in the beginning, we learn how uh, effective disaster science communication for museum and other institution, and then will be followed up by Professor Nishi with the, I think, the case study or lesson on the mobile museum, and then later on by Pak Haekal, also related to disaster risk reduction and communication in the practical way. Okay, maybe Pak Haikal can instruct about the work.
Okay. So now Dr. Muzailin will start with the group discussions. So we have I think can we go to the second slide? Do we have the second slide? Okay, go down. Uh, Okay, so I think you guys need to refer. Yeah. So this is the figures on the model as you saw in figure 5.1. So for the participant, we will distribute five uh, groups, yeah, and then you guys can have about 15 minutes discussion or 10 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes. 10 minutes discussions because we already have a very limited time. So, what is the task? The task is the first one. You guys need to look on the Indian Ocean tsunami of 2004 display at the Hawaii Museum in USA, Tsunami Museum in Hawaii at USA. Then the participants are invited to share their thought on why do you think this exhibition is important. Then which institution should be recognized to play the important role on the exhibit's material. And then participants are invited to share about what is the goals of the exhibition and how it relates to effective science communication in DRR, and then discuss your project if we have time. If we have time, discuss your project, the one that you have discussed recently in module 4, how it can maximize the DRR science communications. So we will divide it to 5 groups. The committee will will share screen the 5 groups, and then the 5 groups is open on the breakout room. You guys have 10 minutes to discussions, and after that we going back to the main hall, and then we will discuss about this. Hi, where we can access this presentation? Does it available? The figure is available as a module. So you can, if you haven't downloaded on the e-learning, please go now and then you can download it in your e-learning at the module 5. The figure that we use is figure 5.1. Okay, so without limiting the time, I would like to ask the committee to share the screen so that we can know which group that the participant will be involved in, and then they can start the discussions. If you have any more questions, just type down on the chat box. Yeah, Fatia, you can download the modules in the e-learning. The module is already there. Okay, now the group is already distributed. Please go ahead to go into your breakout rooms based on the group, and then you can start discussions uh, on the questions that we have for the instructions. Yeah, go ahead and then join the group. Thank you. We see you again on the main hall at 11:45. Okay, welcome back to the main session. So, pretty much sure that the discussion is really tough, yeah, because of very limited time and then a lot of problems that you need to tackle on the science communications. So, I want to have the volunteer. Is there anyone to volunteer from group 1 to group 5 to present first? Or I will give the microphone to Dr. Muzailin so he can lead the discussions.
Thank you, Michael. So I just go through some groups and I found very interesting and very good discussion among you. But I think I need volunteer one or two groups to share your thoughts to the other participant who want to be the volunteer. Which group? Please raise your hand. Anyone all from here? Maybe in these rooms? Okay. Yeah, I think I came to see in the good discussion in group two. Yeah, group two. There is some information you gather from here, like a trauma and educational value, timeline, and so and so. Can you share who is in the group two? Fatia, yeah. Please, Fatia. I
Yeah,
think
okay,
you are
Kak.
through already.
Yeah, okay, but thank you very much for the opportunity, Dr. Zalin. And I will appreciate the discussion from our member group, including from Olivia, Kak Janine, and also Kak Naufal, who shared the ideas from them. I'm sorry that I will share my screen a little bit because I save it on there. So previously Olivia mentioned that firstly, Kak Naufal mentioned that to develop this, of course, the one that need to collaborate is between the exhibitors, curators, designers, but also the architect of the building itself, because it can be simultaneously developing or bringing a new emotion from the tourists that attend the museums. And of course, we need to involve impacted people, because we're gonna delivering their raw trauma in this media, and of course NGO and other relevant journalists. And Olivia highlighted about the social values about these things, because we will gonna like utilize a raw trauma for our survivor in this medium. Of course, we have to consider whether this is adequate enough, whether it's okay for them. And I mentioned also followed by a comment from me that yes, this is a really raw trauma. It's very painful for me to remember. However, we need to ensure that despite this trauma, we can learn something, we can evaluate our previous step and so on. We can see from the progression through the timeline, and this devastating impact is probably, or not just simply probably, it's actually preventable with our comprehensive cooperation among the stakeholder and so on. So in here, since it's delivered about the raw trauma of our community, and I believe we will invite the BNPB, the National Agency for Disaster Risk Management, because I somehow I think they have designated sector or designated team that they will focus their action to communicate, to educate people about disaster risk management. And they can provide some concept and the material, and then of course they can collaborate with the museum teams and discuss the result from the perspective of the local leader that impacted by the hazard. So we can control whether it's adequate enough, whether it's not too raw for them to the captured emotion it delivered in this museum. So Kak Janine also mentioned the involved community. So yeah, it will effective to ensure the and draw awareness about the
Yeah,
rehabilitation and so on.
I think yeah, it's very good, Felicia. You explain very comprehensive, like from social value. Yeah, it is right, and also uh, there is education value also there, and also very important in this picture, telling us if we see one picture, then we can get comprehensive information like timeline and also before, during, and after. And of course, after seeing this room, and then go to another room for more detailed information. So I think all other museum also now I visited also in Japan, they also make not same but similar like this. So first we go to the first picture of first room, then we can see in general from the beginning to the end. And also don't forget here, we have also the screen, the computer, right? Which is this can help the marginalized people. Maybe someone cannot see, so they can hear from the sounds. If they cannot hear, for example, so they can read from the picture. Any other groups want to share what you thought from this only one picture, please? Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. So I want to choose, I try to choose the picture from figure 5.1. So I choose the picture about the Indian Ocean tsunamis of 2004 on the left side. Two picture about the map of Aceh. I think the map is in Ulele. Yes. Yeah. Banda Aceh or Ulele, the coastal line of Banda Aceh. Is it correct? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that is from the picture of Ulele. Yeah, before and after. You are correct.
Yeah. And
Yeah. Any other things that you can find from here?
I think two picture above us, below in the word of Indian Ocean tsunami, the map too. Is it in Banda Aceh or in Aceh?
In the maps, yeah, I think in the west coast of Aceh.
Yeah, in Malabo or Calang.
Yeah, Malabo, I think. You are right. So even this is exhibit in Hawaii, but this is because due to Indian Ocean tsunami, which is affected. I think we have collaboration, yeah, among the museum. So I will explain in the next slide of my presentation. Okay, we continue to my slide, yeah. We stop at this point. Okay, another things that interesting to share to you. I visited the Kamaisi Uno Sumai Tsunami Memorial Museum in Japan. I think this is also newly open, yeah, newly open museum in Japan. So which is also exhibit nearly the same, yeah, nearly the same. But here we can see the timelines more detail on during the event and the emergency response, like day by day, yeah, from 11, 12, 13, 14. Of course, they cannot make the whole day by day in the one picture, but what they want to send a message here so the people can see what happened day to day, maybe a little on hour by hour, what happened that in there. So in the future, when our next generation visit the museum, so then they can learn, yeah, how our ancestors, for example, how our uh, grandparents doing things to uh, to help the people in emergency response. Okay, so I think this already stated in the module that the use of the important of particular figures in exhibit is in communication is important, and also the complete information dedicated in a single wall can help people, not if they have very little time to visit the museum. So when they come to that room and see, they can see from beginning and comprehension, even not detail. But if they have more time, they can visit another room or another level. And also the message could reach all level of audience in to screen provided in that. So as you already read the informations about the uh, communication, yeah, of DRR for disaster risk communications, there are three key institution function. This is related to the museum. First is knowledge creation, knowledge transfer, and also advocacy. I will explain or share the information that I can gather during my study and also during my work at the museum, Aceh Tsunami Museum. The first one is knowledge creation. This is important. Is the museum should increase the knowledge capacity themselves through research, maybe or doing discussion on recent and future disaster and on the collection and also with other organization uh, and also learning the experience from other museum. You can see in this slide, I put it the fourth World Tsunami Museum Conference, which is just conducted last year, 15 December 2022. This is the fourth. The fourth means that starting in 2017 at that time. So this World Tsunami Museum Conference, among the museum in Aceh, in Sri Lanka, in Thailand, Japan, and also Hawaii, they share, yeah, the experience of them and learn each other and also support each other. This is good to increase the capacity of the museum itself. And also, I put one picture here, maybe interested who never been to Aceh. There is a mosque dome, yeah, located in the rice field in Aceh. You can see in this picture. So maybe the curator of the museum can learn more, can learn more. Of course, you know that mosque dome brought by the seawater from the original place to that new place. Yeah, landing there, and the people preserve that mosque dome to show to our next generation what happened, why the mosque dome is in the rice field like this. Of course, something happened behind. So what I want to say is the knowledge creation of the museum staff or museum curator or other related institution to learn about the facts, the things, the evidence, yeah, on the site, not only inside the museum, but it can be exhibit and then well explained in more detail based on the local people experience and knowledge. Sometimes even we are from university, from the museum, but more information we can get from the local people or indigenous people there. Another one is in the role of the institution is knowledge dissemination. This is, of course, the museum should disseminate the contents of or the exhibition inside in uh, in different ways. I think I just sit here, listen about maybe Imam, yeah, explain about nowadays we are in social media very popular, high technology. So maybe people, we don't know in the future, people not come to the museum physically, but can be virtual Yeah, because technology is helping this. But our target is when we are doing in disaster risk reduction is our goal, everyone goal is to save human life, right? To save human life. Whatever we are doing, whatever we are learning, if we cannot save the human life, we are failed. We are failed. So this is same. The museum or other institution, our goal is how to save human life, which many kind of means, yeah, can be exhibition, can be a social media campaign, can be maybe Prof. Nisi will explain about mobile museum or whatever. But our target is how to effectively send the message to the people so that they can understand the past and they prepare for the future. In my first slide, I put there always, yeah, disaster come or disaster happen when we forget, right? Yeah, some quote or some people say like that. Why? Why disaster happen when we forget? Yeah, this also happened in 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. Me, I think all some of us here or in the Zoom meeting, we facing the difficulties. I lost my parent and brother and sister. Why? Because I forget about that disaster. So disasters come to me. So that's why now we don't want this kind of disaster. Disaster mean not only natural disaster, but disaster to you. You have disaster because you lost your property, you lost your loved ones. So then because you forget, you never prepare about that. So we don't want our next generation, yeah. Also happens same thing in 2004, I mean like 2004. We don't want to do that. That's why when people ask me at that time in Japan, what is the similar between museum and youth? Museum and youth. I said that museum and youth is very similar things. Why? We are here, maybe we can live 20, 30 years or even very long 50 years. But the youth is more than that, and the museum is stay there. So I think youth and the museum is similar. They are to send the message to other next generation. So another role of the institution, especially the museum, is advocacy. The advocacy, I think, important also to convene the local government, the stakeholder, the decision making to help, yeah, send this message of disaster risk reduction to the people. For example, in this picture, I take this from the picture, the presentation of Aceh Tsunami Museum. Here, you can see Aceh Tsunami Museum every year commemorate GEJET. Yeah, we are not only commemorate Indian Ocean. Yeah, we are here in Aceh, but we also commemorate GEJET. We are not in Japan. Why? Because first we want to send a message that we are remembered, not only in Aceh but also in other part of the world. Because people say that disaster is borderless. Yeah, no border of the country, for example. Why Hawaii received the tsunami from Chile, for example? Why Sri Lanka received the tsunami from Indian Ocean? Even they don't know when the waves coming there. So that means it can be from the Pacific there, it happened to Indonesia, the tsunami. So that's why we also commemorate this kind of tsunami together every year until now. So we hope that Aceh Tsunami Museum keep continue doing these good things to also commemorate gadget in Aceh. So that mean with the message, another message we send is Japan, you are not alone. We are here in Aceh also taking up. And also here, the advocacy, yeah, of course, with local government picture here. And another thing is, we make the collaboration between Aceh and Japan, like opening Japan corners. Yeah, these are the kind of to advocate the people, stakeholders to help each other. And also this, I think, some definition or some information you can also read. You can find in many other resources nowadays from the internet. But what I want to send to you or explain here is the integrated framework of risk communication also involving local people, scientists, NGO, local government, civil society, and also central government. If you see in this picture from the below, this dialogue is very good, but up to the top, maybe less or very seldom dialogue among the stakeholders. Okay, the role, this is a lesson learned also. The role of the institution lesson from Aceh Tsunami Museum in the knowledge dissemination. Here also I share to you from outside Banda Aceh. So here maybe some people of Banda Aceh already understand this. In the Aceh Tsunami Museum, they conduct the activities called Semongbok. I think this Intan or Imam and others know very well this. But this is the message we want to share to you, that working with the youth, yeah, working with the youth is very important. We encourage the youth love the museum, yeah, love the museum, and we also send that the museum is your place to learn this, not only in the university, not only in your junior high school, senior high school, but museum is also your place to learn the education. Yeah, yeah, through the yeah, curators storytelling, or you can also put here games, for example, but make the youth always engage with the museum. And I think that already present by siapa, Imam, ya, before. I think this we create in Aceh Youth Disaster Awareness Forum Aceh. This is I am the advisor in this forum. Why? Because these alumni of the high school in Banache who attend the high school student summit in Japan for since 2016 until last year. So I told to them, you have learned a lot in Japan, but then we come back to Aceh. Don't stop, I said to them. Don't stop. Please share your knowledge from Japan to your colleagues, to your society, yeah, to your family, through you make a forum. And to know they are successfully make the forum, you can go to the website. They have some activity. They are doing good things, and also they collaborate with the museum. For example, they make a virtual tour. Even this very still not very advanced, but I think like Dr. Okta mentioned, maybe if any other donors can support their initiative, their good things, to make virtual tour of Aceh Tsunami Museum become more better in the future. Or even in Japan, yeah, we know that in Japan Tsunami Museum very advanced, so I can visit there. There are using many high technology. Yeah, this is the advocacy I have listened, I have explained to you. And this one another things that I learned when I visit Kamaisi Unosumai Tsunami Memorial Museum is here. One curator here is, you can see this Miss Miss Kikuchi, if I'm not miss. She was one of the survivors and become the curator at the museum. Explained the road of evacuations based on true story of herself and the student and the teacher at that time doing a successfully evacuation. You can see this picture, I think, from you, from Japan. I think this is they said very famous picture in Japan newspaper. And then this is, they explain the road, why they successfully evacuate to the second place. First, they stop here, but then they realize at that point it's not safe, even based on the drill. They conduct the drill before. This is the destination. But yeah, the gadget occur beyond the estimation. In some place, the professor uh, go to the community, said maybe the prediction tsunami wave will be 6 meters. But in reality, the nature can be beyond our expectation. So this is what happened in Japan. So you can evacuate as far as you can if we still have time, as higher as we can. This is what very interesting that we learn from Japan. They evacuate until this point, and then everyone is safe. Only two students were missing or catch by tsunami because they are sick at home and then pick up by pick up by the parent. But other is all survived. This is the case of Akamaishi. But another case of another city, that is another different things. And then this picture on the right side is showing also in the museum. Maybe we are talking about effective communication, disaster communication. They put the picture here where people can see inundation area. Of course, this uh, can be found everywhere in the internet, but this they make a big display there so that people easily understand. And then effective silent communication, another thing in the museum of in Japan and also in Aceh. I think we have another class, right? Okay, okay, okay. So I will explain first, and then because due to the time today is Friday, we are very sorry. We have to all the men have to go to the mosque. Okay, here also information from Aceh Tsunami Museum about the layer of paleo tsunami. If everyone come to the museum and see this picture, some people can understand, but some people very difficult to understand. Some they have to ask, okay, the curator or ask the professor, the teacher, what is this mean in the like a layer cake, yeah, like a layer cake, layer one, layer two, layer three, layer three. But this is very important information telling us that tsunami is a repeated disaster. As I told you that we have experienced 2004. We don't want this kind of bad experience happen again to our next generation. So this is the proof that in Aceh, several tsunami occurred. Yeah. But in other places of Indonesia, maybe before Indian Ocean tsunami, there was recently tsunami at that time in Flores. But why we are in Aceh, don't know about that. Yeah, because also maybe the previous module telling about the media, yeah, the role of the media, the role of the government is also very important. In case at that time the media sending information very good to Aceh through the media, maybe people in Aceh, maybe, yeah, we don't know. People in Aceh at that time can save more lives. If they say, oh, in Flores there was a tsunami after big earthquake, and then seawater retreat, and then tsunami will come, please quickly evacuate. Only, yeah, I think before module, only Semilu people successfully conducted evacuation based on the story. Small, yeah, small. This. But actually, in the mainland Aceh also, we have another information like Ibana. Yeah, at that time, even myself as the university lecturer, I didn't even realize after the big earthquake, tsunami will come. You know, what is the sad story? Maybe not like me or other survivor in Aceh. At that time, I still can communicate with my family. You can imagine. The telephone line still connected, but because we don't know that after the big earthquake, tsunami will come, so we never say to them, please quickly evacuate because we don't know. Yeah. So I think yes, some other things, some other story also. So as I told you before in the future, in the beginning, our goal is only one. Is whatever we are learning this disaster, risk communication, disaster relief, our goal is save human life. That is. The way is many ways, many means, many methodology, many things. What we have. This in the left side picture is from Japan. It's also in the museum in Kamaisi. They put the story here with more information, yeah, compared to the right hand side. So what I want to say is the effective communication also needs to more explain in more detail. But in the left side picture also, if I ask you what is missing here, yeah, the language, yeah, yeah, the language for example. So if we are not cannot understand Japanese, so we need to open our mobile phone. So nowadays can mobile phone easy, and then take picture and quickly translate. Yeah, but in case they put maybe English there, so maybe more people can more understand about it. Okay. We go to the next slide. What is pleasing in me? Okay. Today, I think we are here together already 4 days of training. I think you all already connected each other. You now build a network, not only in this room, but through online. Yeah. I think all email and all WhatsApp number already here. And sorry, Haekal. Okay, okay, okay. I think not so much slide. I think one or two slide. Okay. And this another things that I think we put inside the module showing that this in the museum in Fukushima, showing that one artifact of the car. If we see this car, what we imagine can be the car because accident. Okay. So, but if we go through more than that, all this car because struggling inside the seawater. So this is kind of how to send a message, yeah, how effective to send a message. Not explaining so more detail, but only put one things there, and then everybody, oh, and when they see that picture or that uh, artifact, so they know, oh, this is because of tsunami struggling. Even the car, very powerful car. And one more slide. So this is effective science communication performed by Science Museum. Lesson learned from GEJET also. This is if some of you visiting Japan, this is in Minami Sanriku. Yeah, the Bosai Center in Minami Sanriku. What I want to share with you, these three pictures showing us that the first picture is the ruin of this Bosai Center preserved, live there as it is. Okay, as it is. And then beside this tower, there is another museum inside, just very close by. And inside the museum, we can find the picture showing, yeah, showing this, the picture of how the situation just after the tsunami. The tsunami water also raised more than the top of this tower. So at that time, many people said, "Oh, they will be safe in the top of the tower of that Bosai." But as I told you, we cannot predict natural disaster. It can be beyond our expectation. So the seawater come beyond that, and some people was dead, very sad. But some is survived. I want to tell you that this very good artifact reminder from us. If you visit Minami Sanriku, you can see in the left of this tower, now the land is filled up, maybe almost the same height of this tower, so that the people can enjoy the scenery and also at the same time protecting future disaster because in 2011 the seawater overflow this river on this left side. Okay. Before I ending, I want to share to you also one interesting story. This is also my personal experience. In 2000, in 2007, just 4 years after our disaster, we invite one expert from Japan. I forgot his name, Mr. Suzuki or Mr. Matsuoka from Rikuzen Takata Bonsai Center. We invite him to share the knowledge of Japan to Aceh people at that time. Because we understand that in Tohoku area, in Rikuzen Takata city, they have a good bonsai center. But when 2011 occurred, in Rikuzen Takata, if now you visit there, it's very plain area because all destroyed. My friend was at that time working in the buildings. He stayed in the last floor. Okay, he assumed that tsunami water not coming up to that level, but very sad, he was gonna survive. He was dead of the tsunami. Then I visited there and I make praying dua because he came to Aceh to share, to give lesson to Aceh people uh, how to save about tsunami. But then he himself cannot survive for the next tsunami disaster in Japan. So my message is today we are here. I'm trying and giving lecture to you, giving like you or some other professor giving it. We don't know. Maybe few years after this disaster come, and we also cannot survive. That's why I told you in the beginning. The main goal is whatever it is we learn about disaster risk reduction is to save the human life, and then after that save the property and so on. I think, thank you, Haekal. I think because of the time, this is what I can share to you, and also you shared a lot already these few days to us. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Muzailin, for very insightful discussions and also very insightful material for today. So we are on the schedule. We are having the noon break, and we will back here again at Zoom on 2 o'clock. So please be there on time because at 2 o'clock there will be Prof. Nishi will present about the mobile museum concept. I think and practice that he or she already did. So it's very nice to hear from her again at the noon sessions. And then at the end, we will have a discussion again about challenges and opportunity for the museum and other institution on their lesson learned, especially about do and don'ts on the science communications. So please bear with us, and we coming back to you again at 2 o'clock. See you then. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The participant to join to the Zoom. Do you believe Prof. Nishi is already in the Zoom?
Yes, I'm here. Okay.
Yes, Prof. Nishi, thank you. So we wait a little bit more. Some of the participants on site, they will join the Zoom now.
Right.
Yep. And your material is already with the committee.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So now we continue on with the session 2 of the module 5. Challenges and opportunity for museum and other institution on their lesson learned from the IoT and GEJET, especially the challenges and opportunity on the mobile museum concept and the application. You guys and all of us are really lucky to have Professor Nishi to share uh, what she has done on the mobile museum. I think it's very interesting. And then, yeah, please, Professor Nishi, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon again. Right, so could you share the screen for my presentation file? Okay.
Yes.
So for this module 5, I'd like to introduce what the concept of mobile museum and also its background, why we try to develop this kind of application. So, I'd like to ask all the participants, how many participants already you had visited to Aceh Tsunami Museum located in Banda Aceh? Could you raise your hands who already visit to the place? One? Only one person? Oh, all right.
Some
Okay.
of the participants working at the Tsunami Museum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some 4 or 5 participants from the Mutsu. All right. Okay. Already. Yeah. All right. So, all right. This is my outline. And next, please. Okay. Next, please. Okay. Before I introduce the Tsunami Mobile Museum, I would like to share the challenges of collective memory of pandemics and disasters, showing the case of 1918 flu, also called the Spanish flu. Okay. To consider about what is essential to building up and keep the collective memory. Okay. In 1924, Encyclopedia Britannica published a 2-volume history of the 20th century thus far. In this book, more than 80 authors, like professors and politicians, soldiers, before. Okay. Professors and politicians, soldiers and scientists contributed chapters to the book entitled These Eventful Years, the 20th Century in the Making, as told by many of its makers. But this book, with 1,300 pages, never mentioned the catastrophic influenza pandemic that had killed between 50 million or 100 million people worldwide only 5 years earlier. And many history textbooks in subsequent decades Just note that 1918 to 1990 flu pandemic as an aside when discussing World War I, if at all. Until quite recently, the pandemic had remained strangely faint in the public sphere compared with other momentous events of the 20th century, such as the sinking of Titanic and the Apollo moon missions. Why did the memory of such a catastrophe disappear from society's memory in just a few years? Dr. Watch notes that collective memory seems to depend largely on narratives with a clear beginning, middle, and ending. And yes, the 1918 flu did not meet that criteria. For the countries engaged in World War I, the global conflict provided a clear narrative arc, full with heroes and villains, victories and defeats. From this standpoint, an invisible enemy, such as the 1918 flu, made little narrative sense. It had no clear origin, killed otherwise healthy people in multiple waves and slinked away without being understood. So from this, we find out that without a narrative schema to anchor it, the pandemic all but vanished from public discourse soon after it ended. Okay, next, please. So here, the question arises, how we will remember the COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic is like a slow, invisible tsunami. It hit repeatedly in short period. And the COVID-19 pandemics have different characteristics from general natural disasters. Disasters that is difficult to separate affected areas from non-affected areas. Intimacy is restricted, quarantine without symptoms, gap between damages counted, and what we feel. How we made a narrative schema to anchor it for building collective memory. Without a narrative schema to anchor it, the pandemic all but vanish again from public discourse soon after it ends. Next slide, please. So how about natural disaster? Natural disasters present the same challenges. Responses to disasters can be understood as a cycle, as shown in this diagram. Since disasters occur repeatedly in the same areas, albeit with longer or shorter cycles, to response to one disaster is a preparation for its next disaster. In this point, disaster response is a process of change that aims toward a better state of being. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, yeah, this one. Okay. Before considering the role of disaster archives, let's see what is going on at the time of disaster in terms of information and knowledge. First, at the time of disaster, the vulnerability of the society is exposed. The damage is not even. Disasters damage the weak parts of society. And we can focus on and start specific response to the weak parts. Hence, it could be opportunities for social reform. Second, after the disaster, data is the foundation of recovery. It is required for the reconstruction of life and economy, as well as for psychological recovery and rebuilding local identity. Third, it is a process of change. Pre-disaster situation is in danger of amnesia. The loss of continuity of the society occurs between pre and post. Under these circumstances, disaster archives are expected to, first, be present lesson learned to prepare for next disaster. Second, be a record of change. Third, be a basis for collective memory. Okay, next slide, please. Based on these recognitions, now it is clear that post-disaster archive is not the record of the event, but the record of the process of rehabilitation and reconstruction, as well as the record of the memory, such as narrative, topic, and speakers. To meet these goals, two things are important. Preserve the fact and the record, the story of narration or narration. One thing we must keep in mind, at the scene of disaster, we very often pay attention only to the recording of impressive scenes and characteristics events, but the record of the surroundings that are not directly damaged is also required. Monitor and record the story. Record how people tell their story is in order to record the connotation and significance in the social context. And testimonies in billboards, graffiti, novels, movies, things such as that. There are various sources that we find the way of narratives after disasters. So next slide, please. Next, yes. So now I introduce our institution, Center for Southeast Asian Studies, Kyoto University's activity for archiving the tsunami disaster. So far, we have cooperated with TDMRC and MIK, Magister Ilmu Kebencanaan, Universitas Syiah Kuala University, to build the Aceh Tsunami Archive. The types of materials we have collected are diverse, including visual materials such as photographs and videos, articles in serial publications such as newspaper articles and magazine articles, and testimonies of victims and supporters. Based on this data, we have published books and released digital archives. In publishing, we have tried to transmit in multiple languages so that Aceh's experience can be shared outside Aceh. We are also developing a smartphone application to record the ongoing process to enable non-specialists to participate in the process of building archive. So next slide, please. One of the applications we developed is Aceh Tsunami Mobile Museum, ATTM. The basic concept is to record the material as it is inside. Leave materials in its original location, then turning the city of Banda Aceh itself into a living museum. Traditional or conventional museums select, collect, and preserve things that have value even when the data of place and the time are removed. Collected materials are required to be preserved in the state in which they were collected. As I mentioned earlier, this kind of work is essential in terms of preserving the evidence that establishes the facts. Equally important is the record of change. As reconstruction progresses, the appearance of materials will change. So will its social context to belong the materials. Because the material is a living, functioning, active entity in society. Flowers picked from the field and exhibited in vase. We can enjoy their beauty, but once picked, the flower does not bear fruit. What bears fruit is a flower that lives with, that roots in fertile earth. Or in Indonesian, bunga dikutip dan dipisahkan dari tanah asalnya, lalu dipamerankan di sebuah vas, kita bisa menikmati keindahannya. Tetapi sekali dikutip, bunga tak bisa berbuah dan juga tidak menghasilkan benih lagi. Yang bisa berbuah adalah bunga yang hidup, berakal di tanah asalnya yang subur. Next, please. So how can this type of it means a catch and release activity be achieved for post-disaster material? We have developed two applications. One is Aceh Tsunami Mobile Museum, and the other one is Memory Hand. I explained the last session. Aceh Tsunami Mobile Museum, or ATMM, has mainly three functions. Information shown on map and can be sorted by time and route, and AR display on site. Okay. Next slide, please. Yeah, okay. Next one. ATTM, I explained this kind of function can be meaningful for outsider users. ATMM takes pictures of a specific location every year and visualizes the record of changes on map. So even without going to Aceh, you can see the process of damage and reconstruction in Aceh through maps and photographs. Using this mobile museum, people living outside Aceh can monitor both past and ongoing process of reconstruction and rehabilitation process. Like the survivors of the 2018 Palu tsunami, for example, to learn from the Aceh experience while they're remaining in their hometown, comparing their own ongoing process. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay. Okay. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah, okay. ATMM will promote tsunami tourism in Aceh as well. The more people outside of Aceh can access relevant information through the mobile museum, the more become interested in and will come to visit Aceh. When you visit Aceh with this application, bringing this application and stand at the location, by using AR technology, you can see the past images of that place. This allows viewers to compare the latest situation facing on site and the process of change archived in this application on the actual site. You might think that there is another way, such as posting a signboard on the site to show the photographs. But less expensive is using mobile terminals to maintain and update rather than setting up signboards on the site. Further, an increase in the number of visitors will provide the locals in Aceh more. Increase in the number of visitors will provide the locals in Aceh more opportunities to speak about their own experiences, disasters to the visitors. As a result, it might help keep the memory of disaster alive. But here, it is critically important for mobile museums to keep themselves updated. Who will update the museums? In the 5th years or 10th years after the disaster, the role of experts, such as like me, and the media, the journalists, in collecting and recording the reconstruction process remains important. While the victims are busy rebuilding their lives. But during the first 5 to 10 years period, in case of Aceh, until 2014, researchers like us record photographs and documents and accumulate data on the disasters. However, 10 to 20 years after the disasters, each person living in the affected area can be a recorder to join the activity of recording. It is a time that people, our locals in Aceh, transform themselves from the ones being observed, being recorded, into the ones who make their own records themselves. If it's possible, the archives will become sustainable. Hereby, the archives will be their own. Another application, Memory Hand, that I show you, the last session, is the one which supports this process. Next, please. Memory Hand or memory hunting comes with 3 types of photos preset: before the tsunami, immediately after the tsunami, and after reconstruction. When you stand on site with the application, you can take a selfie of yourself at the same angle as the archived photo. So next slide, please. With these 2 applications, we support both those who monitor Aceh from outside Aceh, as well as those who come to Aceh and want to observe on the ground. Temporarily, the application is still bilingual in Japanese and Indonesian only, and on Android phones, works on Android phones. We are looking for the people who are interested in English, interested in developing English version or iPhone version. You can see the design, whole design of our archiving project in this slide. So each element is connected to like this slide. Next, please. Here, I'd like to show an example how the story of Aceh's tsunami tragedy is being progressively passed on to people outside Aceh. This is an example where, through constant communication, the experience of tragedy is remembered and told, while recording media, topic, and narrative is changing. In 2011, we, Kyoto University and TDMRC in Aceh, held an international workshop between Japan and Indonesia. At that time, a Japanese film director recorded the whole situation, whole the workshops. That director was, at the time, the director was interested in the lives of Aceh people after the tsunami and produced a joint Japanese-Indonesian film 2018. In 2018. The title is, the film title is The Man from the Sea, or Laut in Indonesian, or in Japanese, Umi o Kakeru. In this movie, the popular actor starred in, and his name is Dean Fujioka. His wife is Indonesian woman, and he was so impressed with Aceh coffee, Gayo coffee, Kopi Gayo. Then he planned to produce Japanese sweet yokan with this Aceh coffee, Kopi Gayo, Gayo coffee. This yokan was sold. This yokan was sold with the, this is a kind of jelly, and with the sauce of Kopi Gayo. And wrapping paper is with a map of Banda Aceh. So next slide, please. This is the wrapping sheet of this sweet. In Japanese, yokan in Japanese. You will see this on this wrapping paper, tsunami tourism attractions, such as the Apong ship and the Tsunami Museum. Can you see? Museum Tsunami Aceh and what? Okay, and Apong, yeah. Okay. So the part, if people who bought the yokan, yeah, most of those who bought this yokan was a fan of this popular actor, Dean Fujioka. So But previously they have no interest with Aceh, but after buying this ryokan, because the wrapping paper introduced the city of Banda Aceh, some of them get interested in Aceh. So this is how people who had no interest in Aceh or Indonesia found out about Aceh. So next slide, please. So now we return to the museum, come back to the museum. So how we can develop the function of museum. Okay, so I would like to point it that the museum is a special space. Museum, I mean the conventional museum, traditional museum, such as Aceh Tsunami Museum, not mobile museum. Museum is a special space detached from everyday life. The space can be designed and staged to give people a special experience. So this kind of museum is still very essential to build up collective memory. And museums offer what the museum offer? Museum offers stories and experience, not objects, not materials, but stories and experience. I would like to stress on this point. In these figures, the Aceh Tsunami Museum, or MUTSU, has fulfilled its role well so far, I think. Like, you know, the museum is, you know, most of you never visit there, but I introduced some points about MUTSU. The museum is located in a strategic position. Later, you can ask the staff of MUTSU among the participants. Okay, the location of MUTSU is where the cars evacuating from the tsunami were stuck in traffic, causing many casualties. And about the structures of the museum. The structure of the museum provides visitors with a story that goes through 3 stages. Tsunami damage, fate of the dead, and recovery. I really expect you to visit Aceh Tsunami Museum to experience this process. Very fantastic, very clever design. To these basic narratives, in December 2022, new exhibits such as Peace Building and Paleo Tsunami are added. But the main narratives concretely is set up in the structure of building. So it is very good point of MUTSU. Okay. Next, please. Next slide, please. To develop the function of museum, I add another element, that is curating the narrative. Curating the narrative will continue to be necessary for the museum to develop its function in the future. Curating means to collect, select, and edit with a specific perspective to create new value and share it. It is also essential, and also by curating, museum will project stories based on science and technology. it is also essential to collect objects such as photos, drawings, or materials, something like that, that will evoke visitors to relive those stories, re-experience those stories. I really hope in this point, I think the Aceh Tsunami Mobile Museum also support the activity of Mutsu Tsunami Museum. I expect that the collaboration between the mobile museum and Tsunami Museum, I mean that the collaboration between the mobile museum, which updates the living record of the town, and the Aceh Tsunami Museum will facilitate this process and enhance the function of museum. Next. Okay, next. Yeah, this one. This one. Last part, for some words from people involved in the tsunami disaster and recovery efforts. I hope that their words will inspire you and encourage you to take action for change for a better future. No tradition, no convention can hold back the changes of the times, even if we are not consciously aware of it. There are signs of change in the details of our daily lives, in the thoughts and demeanor of each individual. The important thing is to figure out what the desired change is in this ever-moving reality and do what you can to make it happen. This is the word of Linda Cristanti. She is the novelist, female novelist, and also journalist, who very active to support Aceh in terms of the peace building and also the rehab and reconstruction process. Next one, please. Okay. So this is a part of a poem, written by the victim of tsunami in Aceh. With the roll of the big waves, nature appears and asks, should waves only be memories? Should the victim's body be just a record? Now is the time to follow the laws of nature with the spirit of change. For the sake of those who lost their lives, it's time to dissect yourself and to fulfill the Earth's mandate. Then neither the currents nor the roars of the waters will be to overwhelm us like the floods that once sent, much less to forget all. Right, okay. So that's all for my the presentation. So, okay. So now I'd like to invite, okay. Yeah, if you have any questions or comments regarding this, my thought, especially on Tsunami Mobile Museum, the concept of mobile museum.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you very much,
okay.
Sensei.
Mhm.
This is Alfie. I just take over this forum from Dr. Haekal.
Mhm.
So it's very nice presentations. So if you want to ask any questions based on what already presented by Nishi Sensei, please, because Aceh is in a museum, Memory Ham is very brilliant. How we try to adapt with the changes in our society and also the development of technology. So I think something should be added, should be created, in presence to our society. Any question? Any questions, please, from online and also offline? Or online? Okay, in online we have here. So please. Yeah, please, Janie.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Professor Nishi, for your incredible presentation. I just want to have a quick question. So, I get an impression, or I fear that younger generation or people nowadays going to the museum just for the sake of taking pictures or just for the sake of showing on social media or like giving reviews like, oh, we already visit this museum, and then the message itself, the message of the museum itself is not conveyed very well to the younger generation especially. So I would like to know your opinion on this one, and also what is the really innovative way that enable people, especially younger generation, to really get the experience itself and then engage with the innovative way that the museum offers, so that they're really not just going to the museum just for the sake of the for following styles or following their friends, but really get the message that we as an organizer or the DRR practitioners want to give for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, please, Mrs. Sensei.
Yeah, thank you very much. So your comment is a very cynical one, yeah, right? Okay, so you yourself feel that if you go to the museum, but difficult to read, difficult to receive the message of museum, right? Where is Johnny? Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, but I look positive side. Younger generation goes to museum for dating, for example, or just chatting with friends, but it's okay because the museum give some kind of experience separated from the ordinary life. So it's not impossible 100% of message conveyed to to anybody. But you remember that I think the young friends surely remembered that we went to the museum. It is already has some meaning. But besides that, to strengthen the function of museum, we need some staff, some facilitator. So there is a room for why we need science communicator. So like Tsunami Museum, the structure of building is very, very clever, well designed, even though without any materials. But if you go to the museum and just through the pathway from the first floor to third floor, this path already present some stories. But sometimes visitors has no impression because if they are not provided explanation from the staff. So I think because the structure never speak out. So we need to sense the meaning. We need to implicate the meaning. To support this process, staff of the museum support the visitors. I think so. I would like to ask some opinion from the staff of museum, Mutsu. So
Yeah. Please,
I think
if there in at Tsunami Museum stuff, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah. Think Yeah.
Yes, I want to try.
Mhm.
So our museum, like you
Please,
say before,
please mention your name, please.
my name Intan. I'm from Aceh Tsunami Museum.
Mhm.
I'm working there since 2012. And it's right what you said before. Museum construction is telling us about the tsunami itself. Maybe you if you come to museum, you can see there is a tsunami alley. It is a represent about the height of the tsunami. So from the building is there are a lot of informations, but we we have put the definition about that room inside, and also we use the barcode, so everyone can use that barcode. But it's still let's see, that one. Maybe it's still more or less. So the visitor need guiding by the guide. Maybe that's.
Right. Okay.
Maybe I want to add some informations. Actually, the architect of this museum, Mr. Ridwan Kamil, has designed the museum based on several philosophies. In each of the room, has several philosophies. Like my friend said before, such as in Tsunami Alley, and then we also have Memorial Hall that represents the situation inside of the sea. And then we also have the Chamber of Blessings. So there are many names of victims written in the Chamber of Blessing. So if the visitors cannot visit the tsunami mass grave, we also have several tsunami mass graves in Aceh. They can pray in the Chamber of Blessings. And then we also have the Bridge of Hope and Peace that represent the hope of Acehnese in reconstructions and rehabilitation process after tsunami, and also represent the memorandum of understandings that been held in Finland 8 months after tsunami. So this is the wisdom of the Bridge of Peace. And each of the flags above the Bridge of Peace, actually there are 55 flags above Bridge of Peace that represent the new hope and the new energy of Acehnese in rebuild Aceh again. So we didn't say about sadness, we didn't say about sorrow, but we moved to better Aceh. So we built Aceh in the with the new energy and with the new spirit to be better than before. Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we have. You want to add another informations? Please, Sahlan, please. Yeah. This is Sensei. Sahlan want to give some opinions about this, please.
Like, thank you, Prof. Nishi, for the insightful lectures. I'm interested in the concept of museumizing the disaster archive through film, because I think it's more effective for us, for younger generations, such as such like the film of The Man from the Sea. But uh, what the challenges that Prof. Nishi have encountered from making a disaster archive through a film? Thank you.
Thank you, Sahlan. This is kind of the question as well. But Mrs. Sensei, do you want to answer directly, or because we have another two questions?
Okay,
in
I
queue?
received all the questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Radhi, please.
Thank you, Nishi Sensei. Actually, I feel the same what you feel when you enter the museum. So I have experience when I visit the museum Aceh. But I wanna ask about how effective Japan is a country that have many what this tragedy like a tsunami this disaster. So maybe like innovation museum is exists earlier in Japan. So I wanna ask about how effective the museum in Japan to of influence about the awareness about awareness of from Japan people about this disaster. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Radhi. And next, Naufal.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Good evening, Nishi Sensei. Yeah, so my question is, so we have already here the informations about the museum, the Aceh Tsunami Museum, and the information museum everywhere in Aceh. But my question is simple, like how can we actively involve in ATMM and memory hunt? Because I think this is a really good process and really good things to do, especially for me because I'm from urban history and theory background. So I like map and sharing informations to maps. I'm also a local guide, like contributors in Google Maps. But I think it's there is a missing link in Google Maps because it is not tell us about the informations like the historical informations in the photograph itself. So how can everyone here in Aceh or everyone that have visited Aceh can actively involved to make the ATMM more rich in terms of the data and the collective memories? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Naufal. I think that's also a very important questions because since as mentioned by Naufal that we need more information and hope to reach a wide public to know more about the Tsunami Museum. Is there any future plans in developing to be more to be more specific or to be more easily to access of Aceh Tsunami mobile museums? And also from Radhi, also want to know about Aceh Tsunami Museum in the context of uh, how effective to Japanese people to utilize of the museum, especially Tsunami Museum for any purpose. For example, for disaster preparedness, for examples like that. Yeah, please, Mrs. Sensei.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the last one I try to answer. What are the obstacles we are facing in terms of ATMM and memory hand is these applications are still not popular. So very little number of users. So would like to increase the numbers of users and also would like to revise application in accordance with the new OS. So version 13 or 14 or something like that. Because our application is still that just work under the old version. So that is a very critical point. But I really hope that younger generation is very good at developing the application. So I really hope the some color join us to develop application, and also involve yourself in facilitating this a kind of study tour using this application. Because so some idea for me is we will ask the tour guide in Banda Aceh to use this application when they guide the foreign tourists also, and also the school teacher. We can promote to school teacher to make use of this application in the education, something like that. So we still, if we just develop the application, one application, that doesn't result in that's not succeeded. So we need to promote some kind of event or opportunities where people can use it. But so far, like me, twice or three times visit to Aceh and open the workshop, only 2 or 3 days. So very my commitment is still limited, especially the activity on site. So I'd like to invite some friends, some younger generation, to join us to develop, to facilitate this application. And for the second question, not easy to compare the Japanese museum with the Indonesian museum. So many factors are different from each other. So, but I think museum has some advantage. This is a special space separated from the ordinary life, and the space can be designed freely with the purpose, and we can make interactive communication between visitors and also between staff and visitors. So that is the advantage. So just we need is to strengthen, to enhance this advantage. And the first one, filming, or the film. Today I never mentioned, but in Japan, the role of fiction, role of the novel, TV drama, or film, feature film, is very important in terms of DRR. So comparing with Indonesia, still very few number of Indonesian film that deals with natural disasters. For Aceh, just the Hafalan Shalak Delisa, and some 2 or 3 other films, but that's all. So I think the film of fiction will take very important role in this field. So I hope this field has been investigated or studied by the younger generation in Indonesia. If I still have, I think maybe it's a good idea to ask some Japanese participants to comment about the Japanese, the role of Japanese drama or film in terms of DRR. Tanaka-san, or one other person who joined from Japan?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Tanaka, please, if you want to add some of comments.
Okay. Okay, thanks so much. So as my past, thank you for sharing the presentation. It's so insightful for all the Japanese participants, I guess. And at that time, I like to sorry for the actually now checking to the camera. Sorry for that. And based on the education and based on the lectures, I guess the Japanese many of the Japanese citizens had a way know about the disasters and what are changing, but however, they did not know about the any of the study cases. Likewise, today we show to the IOT and the GEJET continue actions, and also some communications for the disaster risk reduction lessons. So I like to if I could I like to expand to some of my colleges or universities can introduce to these kinds of education as EST educations or STEM educations to learning or to protect their own self in the futures. Likewise, Japan still has a huge risk for the earthquake. In the Tokai area, is between Japan and Osaka, has a 30% of the more than 8.0 magnitude in 30 areas going to be happen, and it's going to be the damage to the 6 billion US dollars the economic damage per year. And so to protect the situations, we need to protect for not only for the earthquake, but also the tsunami, and also for any other movement. Likewise, these kinds of huge earthquake going to be the cause to some severe tsunami and severe earthquake, and it's going to be happen continuously. Likewise, just join to these courses in the Indonesia also happened to the earthquake as well, and we measure to the tsunami, and just 3 hours ago the tsunami has already reached from the Indonesia. So we also keep concern about how when tsunami comes and how can we protect, and in the case of we have to evacuate, we need to remind the lessons for the disaster risk reductions lessons from any of the study cases. So these study cases going to be quite insightful for us to try to continue to expand throughout the science communications. So that's my perspective. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tanaka-san. Yeah, please, Nishi, if you have any comments on that.
I'm afraid I 7 minutes late. We are behind that schedule. Okay. So yeah, I think
That is okay.
yeah. It's okay. But I think the participants can will further discussion on the next session after the next session. I think.
Yeah, I think we also have ones from here. Imam, do you want, because your right hand here? Yeah, please.
Hello, Nishi Sensei. First of all, thank you very much for promoting our tsunami tourism sites. It's really meaningful for us. There is one, yeah, I would like to have your opinion regarding my suggestion here. Back in the day, I was visiting the Tokyo Tower as museum, and it got me. I'm really interested that they have like the phone and also the headset that can be used as the tour guide. And also they also have like multiple languages. So I was thinking that is it possible for us to develop more about the ATMM? So we combine this kind of application. So the museum can only spend their power and financially only for creating the narration and translated the language instead of buying the tape recorder, something like that. And I think this could be a solution due to the lack of the tour guide here. So by connecting the phone for each of the tourists that visit the Museum Tsunami, we can Therefore, we can push them to download our application, right? What do you think? What do you think about this suggestion? And the other part, uh, is it the tsunami tourism destination, not only Museum Tsunami, right? We also have like ship on the roof and also kapal apung. Unfortunately, in my perspective, it's not as well maintained as the Museum Tsunami. So, is it possible for the future that instead of focusing on the Museum itself, if we focusing on the other side, it can push the local government to take care more about this tourism destination itself. What do you think about it? Thank you, Nishi Sensei.
Thank you very much for your suggestion. Okay. Oh, suggestion from you is sounds very nice, very good. So using the tour to ask tour guide to use a smartphone, and and also you ask the local government to connecting the several the disaster tourist point. Yeah, I think it's very good. So yeah, I hope it will continue to work. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Imam and all participants, and also Nisi Sensei that's already presented for us about Aceh Tsunami Mobile Museum, Memory Hunt, and many things related to the how we try to keep the memory to yeah uh, to be preserved for disaster reduction purpose. And again, thank you very much, Mrs. Sensei. This is the end for this session. Please give applause for Mrs. Sensei. Yoroshiku negasimasu.
はい、お疲れ様でした。Yeah.
Yeah. Next, we will have maybe 5 minutes for break. Yeah, 5 minutes enough. Yeah. Yeah, we have 5 minutes for break, and then we will continue for the last sessions that will be delivered by Dr. Haekal, challenges and opportunity for museum and other institution, and the lesson learned from Indian Ocean tsunami and East Japan earthquake tsunami. Okay, see you in 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay, I think 5 minutes is over, and now we continue for the last sessions in our training with Dr. Haekal. And I think Dr. Haekal will directly guide these sessions. So, Dr. Haekal, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Alfi, for a brief introduction on the modules and the title that I will present today. So, welcome again, everyone. I hope you are still enthusiastic to join the last session for the whole training. We already all the way together until now. So, for the last session, it won't get too long. I will have a breakout room, only four group breakout room. How many group we have? 5 or 4? The last one is 5. Okay, 5 groups. And then we will have a discussion on that for 15 minutes. So it's pretty much long. However, you need to cooperate some very important things. Okay, so let's we go. Now, how to how to communicate about the DRR science in terms of effective science communication formed by the Science Museum, lesson learned from the IoT and GEJET. As mentioned by Prof. Nishi and Dr. Muzailin in very early meeting today, in a very early training today, even they asked that how many of you already visit the museum, how many of you already experienced the exhibition that being shown in the museum, and what do you think about the science communication when you receive those kind of informations, then now we will go on to see the practical part. Some cases, I will show you only one cases as the one that we shown in the module, and then we will discuss how we can put ourselves as the curator of the museum, because that is the most important part, where we can share or where we can be as part of the science communications, how we can distribute the information that we have on the exhibitions, that all the visitor being seen all together, and then how we can distribute those information that we have in mind to the other participants. So the practical, I put it on the model in the table for the do's and don'ts on science communications. And the issues that we will have for the case-based discussion of do's and don'ts. So this figure shows again, can we have the pointer? Okay, now I got it. Yeah. So this is the figure of the fire truck that heavily impacted by the tsunami wave. And then if we saw this, as Dr. Muzailin also shown the same figure, there is a couple of possibility in our mind or on the visitor mind. They will think like, oh, this truck or this firefighter engine probably got into an accident. That's one possibility. And the other part, when they saw oh, some part of it are heavily damaged with some corrosion being going on, then they will recognize, oh, okay, this is something else. Okay, this truck probably got tumbled within the tsunami waves. Okay, now this one is quite a bit easier for the visitor to understand the meaning of that, but it's only relate to the destructive power of the tsunami. So it doesn't give us any clue about is this even already occurred before, or it's only occurred once? Yeah, so there is no clue on the science about. We only have the damage part, but we don't have any other clue about this even are repeatedly occurs at these locations. So we don't have any clue about that. And then we need to list all possible information that we can harvest from this picture, from this exhibition, and what is do's and what is don'ts. Then if we take a look again for the exhibition, a very famous exhibition, this one at the Tsunami Museum in Aceh. Yeah. Now this is more complicated. When we give these figures to the common visitor at the museum, which never involved in any research related to the DRR, never exposed with the journal published about this information, then it's pretty much very difficult for them to understand what is this meaning, why this layer of sand is different than the other layer of sand, and why is that have this information on the left hand side for the number of years. Now for the research people, for the one that already work on science related to disaster, they already know about this. Oh, this is a layer of the transect about the tsunami event, and then separated by the guacamole. The what is that? The from the bats, because this cave been living by the bats. So if you saw any black material, yeah, this is the stool from the bats. Yeah, and then another layer composed with the tsunami and some other things. So for the science people, it's quite a bit easy to understand. For people that already exposed with some information on the disaster, and he already read or know about this journal and some other thing, it's pretty much easier for him to understand. But again, if we put ourselves as the curator museum, and we are being very much challenges when we uh, in front of us is small kids, elderly people, people with the very low educational background, marginalized groups, disabilities groups. It's pretty much difficult to let them know that, oh, these tsunamis keep repeating happening for at least 300 years, 1,000 years, 500 in some other thing. So how how we can list all those possible information in the single figure like this one? What information that the most important that we can harvest it, and what is do's and what is don'ts? So for that one, we will have discussions. I think we still have time. Yes, we will have a discussions about this is past. A discussion for 15 minutes. The participants are divided into 5 groups. What are you guys gonna do in the group? You need to discuss about harvesting information on the 2 exhibitions. So you need to list down what is the information that you can get, and then discuss about the do's and don'ts, and then discuss on how those information could be delivered to the marginalized group. If you check on the modules, at the end of the modules, we have the list of the marginalized group. Not at the end, but at the activity 3. Yeah. Yeah, we have the marginalized group is women, children, and youth, older people, people with disabilities, and migrants, and ethnic minorities. So those groups need to be approached in different kind of ways by the science communicator at the museum or other institution that work on the science communications. So this is a table that I have made for everyone to follow. So you need to have a number, like a number of number 1, harvested information. What you have, what is the important information that you get? Like information number 1, and then what is do's for those information, and what is don'ts. If you check on the table for do's and don'ts, there have several categories for that. So not all categories could be applied in within a single information. Maybe one categories can be applied at one information can be used by 3 or 2 do's, and those are, you can take a look on that, and then try to discuss with your group about it, and then which part is don'ts. Just like when we have those figure on the tsunami layer, then sometime if we wrong to explain, if we explain, um I mean, we can make this feeling like people will get scared of the events, so they not think about how they can have this science communication to reduce the human loss, but they are being so scared to know that, oh, it's gonna happen again. We should never live in this place. Yeah. While we learn from small, the tsunami is your bath, and yeah, they try to make or to live with the disaster. Yeah, and then the one that really the best practice is we can deliver how to have a right decision when the disaster comes. So uh, those in the way of explaining this kind of information, you need to really check on the do's and don'ts. So those part of it, then it's much better to discuss that with your groups. And then science communication on to the marginalized group. In this part, you can remember the other module that you already have, either in module 3 with Dr. Praditya, Dr. Rizana, and Emilio. I remember Dr. Praditya has explained how people receiving informations So you can use various type of channel. You can get a wider audience. And then when in the morning session, Dr. Muzailin also indicate for the IoT display at the Tsunami Museum at Hawaii, they have this screen, they have the speaker, so the disabilities group can still have the information about what's going on during the tsunami, during the IoT. So I would like to ask the operator, is everything clear about this one for the group discussions? Everyone is okay? If you have any question, just raise your hand and then yeah, you can ask the questions first before joining the group. Okay, I think everyone on site is okay, and I don't see any participant raise hand. So please, operator, share the screen for the group distribution. So we will have about 15 minutes. So the discussion will be end on 15:45. So just right 15 minutes at 45. Then we will have the discussion on that. Okay, wait a minute. The committee is working on to share the screen. Yeah, the group is now ready. Yeah, go ahead to choose your room. The room is already available. I will open all room. Yeah, now the room is open. You can join the groups. I will walk around the group to check on the discussion with you guys. Okay, guys, welcome back. I know from the discussions, everyone is so tired already. It's already like 4 days without stopping to discuss about this science communications. But okay, so I won't ask how you guys working on the task just now. However, you can still copy your work to the training notes, and then I will take a look on that. Or I want to have either one or two participant for volunteer to share their ideas on the task that we just discussed. What about maybe from the Jin Tanaka from Japan? You want to say something about the task that you discuss in your group?
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Thanks so much. As we discussed about to the how can we contribute and some of the museums. Likewise, in Japan and Indonesia has many cases and case studies of the engagement and some of the facing for the tsunami disasters. And that time we're going to just not only to the show. So as the two exhibit we're going to prepare. First is a workshop for the how can we prevent for the tsunami and how can we evacuate for the actions. And second one is showing to the information of tsunami and how can we develop other technologies. Nowadays, in the compared to the 3 decades ago or 2 decades ago, we had we developed the many infrastructures to prevent for any of the disasters. But still, we have some risk, so we're going to tell it. And do's and don'ts. For we're going to show the information or not only for the frightens of the tsunami, but also for showing to the how can we prepare and how can we how can we prevent for any of the huge risk or how can we manage it as a developer. And don'ts is just only to tell to the informations or some badge information to tell to the tsunami and we make the to the exhibitors and the participants going to be frightened, which we should not. And as a science communicators or a creator, try to merge onto the how can we the process or the how we develop it, and if we do the facing to the tsunami disasters, what we can do it. We have to going to be pay them and try to pulling out to the ideas and actions from the participant to take the in the case of the actions for the tsunamis. So that's our group topics. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jin. Very nice that the use of the channel of the technology will bring more wider audience to know about the exhibitions in the museum. Is there anyone want to add what Jin Tanaka has shared with us? If not, then okay, we can continue with the material. We only have a couple more minutes to go. Yeah, so if we go ahead, that okay, these two figures have a different kind of information. So if we see on the left hand side is the broken truck, and then on the right hand side is the layer of the tsunami occurrence. Then if we indicate on the left hand side, the exhibition relate to the destructive power of tsunamis. So this is the one that very easy to get from the visitor if they're being brought to show in this exhibition. It is easy to science communication this exhibition to the visitor in the museum. But again, the challenge is what about the marginalized group? Now, which channel suits best to science communication? They are related to these exhibitions. One of the ways, such as being said by Jin Tanaka, use the technology. We use a very simple technology as well, such as we can put some information, board sign, or some speaker, or some display discussing about how the truck being damaged like this one. So it's just like a short animated movie on the end product until the end product is just like this. However, if we go through the other one, the exhibition relate to the sequence of tsunami events within centuries. It is more difficult, more challenging to discuss with the museum visitor. We need to really pick which group that we can explain more details, and which group that we need to explain in a very common sense, such as we can make it as a layer pancake, or a sand when they are working on the beach. That in that sense is much easier for them to accept that, oh, this is meaning of this layer of sand sequence is about the repeating of the tsunami events. Then if we check on what is the do's and don'ts, so first we need to encourage exhibit material based on research result. So even we are as if we put ourselves as the curator, and then some exhibition is there, or we just accepted as one of the curator at the museum. So we need to learn what is the exhibition and being shown, and we need to also consider the evaluation phases will establish whether the effort is having desired impact, and will be able to communicate to the outcomes. What don't what the one that we don't need to do is we couldn't give any uncomfort information, insufficient resources on the research result, science of disaster event, insufficient understanding on the target of audience. So we aren't prepared. This is the one that we uh, remove from the science communication at the museum. Then if we go next, select the right media and communication platform, such as the discussion from the model number 2 with Dr. Praditya, Dr. Rizana, and Mr. Emilio. Some of them use like Mr. Emilio, he used a various type of science communication. He used animation. He used TikTok videos and YouTube, as well as connecting with the astronauts to discuss about the disaster. I think in this way, he also select which region of the people, which group of the people that he can give this kind of informations. And then the other thing is the communication is made clear, relevant, engaging, and practical. So if we discuss about the layer of the tsunami in some kind of lecture like you have in the university where you listen a professor being uh, discussed in his class, some audience have an interest, but not all audience will again engage with that situation. So the museum curator also need to understand that when he or she want to deliver this type of information, she really need to consider the audience that she or he facing during the explaining or during the science communications. Yeah, so this is the do's and don'ts that you guys need to really think about, and then how uh, the material that you guys want to present or later on your concept notes, how you're gonna science communications your projects to the wider audience, including the marginalized group. Okay, so later on, if you have time, you can reevaluate again your just recently the discussions, and then try to assemble the do's, instruction, and some other thing as shown in this part here. Again, I keep reminding everyone, you guys can copy all of your work to the training notes. So you guys can go back to that notes and then write the one that you haven't have the discussion, or you still have no idea about it, and you can just write at that notes. So I don't think we can have more questions because we are really limited in time. For at the moment now, I would like to ask Dr. Rizana. Yeah, I think this is the end of my presentation. So now I would like to ask Dr. Rizana to explain a very important information for you guys. Dr. Rizana will explain about what is the concept notes, and you are eligible to join or to become as the Young Pro DRR 2022 champion. So to have that title, you need to submit your concept notes. Now, Dr. Rizana will explain about this, and you are welcome to ask any questions that relate to that, and some other thing that you might be or you want to discuss about it. So I will give the floor to Dr. Rizana. Yes, we can share screen. Do you connect to the Zoom? You connect to the Zoom? No. I can ask the committee. Maybe either Rizka can share the screen, the TOR files that we have. Can you go to page, which page? Page number? Yeah. The flyer, halaman, page 7. Yeah. I will give the microphone to Bu Rizana.
Thank you very much, Dr. Haekal. How are you all here? So, finally, yeah, you are at the end of the training session. 4 days, very compact training sessions, but very insightful, I believe. And I believe that you all gained so many things, so many, more knowledge and especially skills, right? Excuse me. So again, congratulations to all. You have passed through these stages, but then you have now another interesting stage that you are eligible to join in and to participate. So all the 40 participants of the trainings are eligible to join and participate in the competition of Young Professional Champion on Disaster Risk Reduction, or we call it the Young Pro DRR. And it's a bilateral competition. So it's between the Indonesian and the Japan. And you're eligible to win the total prize of $1,500 for three best or three champions. Yeah. And here there's also in the flyer, we can see that women are highly encouraged. Yeah. Not to discourage men, but then we want to also fully encourage women too. Okay. So please pay attention to the important dates there. So we have passed the hybrid training until the 20th of January, which is today. And then you have to be more eligible to join participates in the competition. There's one requirement that you have to do. You did submit your CV and we have looked through it. But now the other things that you have to submit is a concept note, which will be reviewed by 11 judges or juries. Yeah. And the submission date for the concept notes is on the 23rd of January. I will later on let you know what are the concept notes requirements. And then exactly the next day, we're going to announce the 20 best finalists. So unfortunately, we cannot include you all, 40 of you, but we have to just choose the 20 best, finalists, yeah, to be then further review and further interview and to be decided who's going to be the winner. And then on the 26th, after the announcement on the 24th, we're going to have an interview. On the 26th, a whole day for the 20 shortlisted. And then on the following day, we're going to announce the Young Pro DRR champions. Yeah. I hope that you are among those champions candidates. Okay, next, please. Can you skip to the page? No, not the next page. It's the 12th. Okay, thank you, Rizka. So I believe that you're very familiar in making concept notes. Yeah, it's a kind of a more brief examples of a proposal. So there's no particular concept note templates, but the important thing is it must be concise. Yeah. And just highlight the significance of the concept note proposed. So after the 4 days training, the 2 days trainings focuses on more of the concept itself of the RR. But then on the following session with Dr. Haekal, Dr. Okta, Dr. Alfi, and the others, you have learned more how to translate those concepts into a very concrete project's idea. Yeah, and you have to show and highlight the significances. Why is it important to carry out this project? Yeah, so please, those are the kind of the importance criteria that will be looked by the jury to determine that your concept notes are you pass through the review. Yeah, and the feasibility, is it feasible to carry out? And I think the the trainers already mentioned about that. Yeah, feasibility in terms of times, probably in terms of money, but this concept note, you don't have to organize it and mention all the estimated budgets to do with that. Yeah, just to show how feasible this project. And then the method. how are you going to carry out those projects? That is the most three things importance that will be looked by the judges. Okay, and it's not too long. It's only between 800 to 1,100 words. It's excluded reference, yeah. So you still have more space for that, and the condition is only one spacing in the size of an A4 size paper. Yeah, if you may need to include figures, yeah, and other reference related to your concept note, you are allowed. So it's okay. Okay, and then after the concept notes is reviewed, right, and then you are be called and given a list to be interviewed, or we're going to call and announce 20 shortlisted, and then you're going to be you need to prepare for a presentation of the concept notes or the project that you are carrying out. Yeah, and the participants will present their concept notes obviously in English through online, but because we have an on-site participants, you are invited to be interviewed later on. Yeah, the venue will be announced later. Each presentation is not more than 10 minutes, so please pay attention to that too, because you're delivering your project in a very concise manner and in a very effective way is very important. With PowerPoint slides, maximum 8 slides. And then they will, after your presentation, there will be an interview, question and answers by the jury. So you have to also prepare to defend or answer all the jury's questions. And participants must ensure they have a good quality internet, especially this is for the online participants during the presentations and interview. So that is actually just times, condition, and requirements for the next stage for the young pro DRR. Yeah. Yeah, I hope you are all ready for that. And uh, yeah, I think they are already energized, yeah, because they're already equipped with so many information about the RR. So that's all from me. Thank you. And I hand back to Dr. Haekal. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Rizana, for a very clear discussion or presentation about the concept notes. First of all, if you guys have a questions about this concept notes and the schedule that being said, okay, Imam have. Okay, I will pass the microphone to you.
Okay. Hello, Ms. Rizana. Thank you for your presentation. Here, I would like to ask, uh, if we are chosen as a 2020 finalist, and the real question is, do we all achieve the title of the young young professional disaster risk reduction? Is it gonna be our title, like ambassador or something like that? And if yes, then after we submit the concept note after the 20 finalists, uh, yeah, 20 finalists got interview and there gonna be 3 champions, is there any next step for us that we have to do something, or there gonna be project or realization of the concept note itself? Thank you very much.
You want to answer?
I think you could answer that and
Okay.
I could add later on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, for the participant of the training, of course, you are being as the participant of the training, so you're still not be as the champion. Yeah. So, and then all the participants are eligible to submit those concept notes. So you guys need to write the concept notes, uh, whatever idea that you have, a very clear and concise one, and then submit the concept notes. Then we will have a jury to uh, evaluate your concept notes, and then the jury will have a short list for 20 participants. Now, this 20 participant will go to interview with the jury. Then after that, the jury will select only 3 participants that will be the champion. So those 3 participants are the champion of Young Pro DRR 2022. And then what next? What next? I've been told and discussion with the party though. So later on, relate to the projects or relate to any training from the UNESCO, the young pro will be asked to join those training and those activities from the UNESCO. They will be prioritized to get involved in their activities. So this is a very huge chance for all the participants just to make sure that you have a good and a very concise concept notes that you're and a very bright and creative ideas, such as Pardito mentioned in the WhatsApp group, to be to submit it on this Young Pro DRR 2022. Yeah, unfortunately, we only have 3 champions. But you guys, all of you guys are the champion actually. But again, we need to select 3 champions on this Young Pro DRR 2022. So is that okay? Yeah, that's good. We need to submit the concept note by 23rd. Can you see it back again, the schedule? Where can we find the guideline that was just shown? It was too blurry through Zoom. Okay, so the guideline we will provide it on the e-learning as well. It's fine, we can put it there. Yeah, this is the schedule. You need to submit it on 23rd of January. Yes, that's right. Where and when we have to submit the concept note. The concept note submission will be announced soon. And then it is on 23rd of January. Yes. Where can we find the guidelines that just shown? We will also put these guidelines on the e-learning so everyone have their own copies. Okay, got it. Yeah. I think we are good. Okay, so we will have our closing ceremony pretty much soon. So please bear with us for the on-site participants. We will move to auditorium, and for the online participant, please join with us because we have a number of what is that? Acknowledgement for the participant. We select the highest score participants, and then the best leader, and then we also have the what is the other one categories? The most active participants. Yeah. So so please please stay with us on the closing ceremony. We will start soon about 4:20 or 4:20 or 16:20 Western Indonesian time or plus 2 hour Japanese standard time. So see you then. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Again. I almost forgot. Okay, I almost forgot. Wait a minute. Okay, we have a post test. We have the post test. Yeah, I almost forgot. Oh my god. I think everything is okay. So we have a post test for only 10 minutes. The questions is the same question as you guys had in the pre-test. So I think now it's open. It will open on 1620. 1620 will be open on the e-learning platform. You can log in to your e-learning platform, and then you can take a look on now it's already there. On the post test, it will start on 1620. So it's about 10 minutes. And then the question is the same as a pre-test. So I'm pretty much sure that you guys remember the questions, and it's only about 10 minutes. So finish this, and then we will go to the closing ceremony. Thank you, everyone. See you there.